when it hits 100K, I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like anything. Like it's just a number. There's not much of a dopamine hit, to be honest. The dopamine comes from the making of the song and the excitement. Oh, this bass line is sounding so sick. You know, like every element I add gets me so excited.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Off the DAW. Today I am I have my first guest, Elazion, from Vancouver, Canada. He is a music artist and producer. So thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. This is always fun to be, podcasting. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wanted to start off, first off, like, congrats, because I saw you posted one of your songs hit 100K on Spotify for streams. That's
Thanks.
Pretty sick, man. You want to talk about that for a second? That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really know what to say other than, like, I don't know. I guess I set a goal this year to do. I never done 100K, and I know you shouldn't have like achievement-based goals per se, like especially number-based goals, but it's kind of a big one that I feel like was achievable, and I did it. I set it as a year goal, and it happened in the first 6 months, so that's always a good sign.
Yeah.
And it's on track, I think, to keep going to 1 million. Like, I don't see it stopping. The playlists that the label put it in, they have songs in there that are like a couple years old that are still in the playlist. So I think they might just keep it in their playlist. So, like, if that happens, cool. It'll probably just keep climbing for a while.
Was there anything that you feel like made that song different versus other ones you've released?
Actually, it's an interesting question because, usually a producer will, especially in the beginning stages, will write an instrumental, and then, you kind of want to work with a vocalist. You're like, oh, I'll send it to a singer, they'll write something on it. And I did that with my song Strong Enough, I did that with most songs, but my song Strong Enough with this guy, Sam Welch, from the UK, that was my most successful song, and it's still climbing, and it's about to pass 100K in like a week or two as well. So that'll be my second one in this year, which is also cool. But he wrote a great vocal to that. And then when I wanted to work with him again, he had a bunch of acapellas for sale that he had written that I could write to. And so Overdose was one of them. And I started with the vocal, and I just started writing around it and came up with the da 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 part. I could just hear the bass line behind it. So I started with the drop and kind of worked around it. And then I sent it off to Brent, and he worked on it for a while, and we kind of sent it back and forth. And I don't know, it's just really catchy. As soon as I heard the vocal da-da-das and the chorus, I just knew. I was like, okay, this one's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. I dig it, dude.
Thanks. I like that, really. That's one of my favorites for sure.
So I kind of want to rewind things a little bit. Can you talk about just kind of like your starts with music and how you got into it?
Yeah, I guess I can do it briefly. I don't know how much time we have. As a teenager, I started playing guitar, and then I was in a band with some friends from high school, and we played a bunch of shows, and I got the taste for performing live, and that's when I was kind of like, this is what I want to do. I was like 15 maybe, and we booked a hall, and we sold like 100, maybe a couple hundred tickets, and like maybe 100, filled this room, and we played a show for all our friends, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I graduated high school, we went on a tour, and that was awesome. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then the band kind of grew apart, and I went to recording school and learned how to produce music. And then I started going to festivals and raves and stuff, and I saw like DJs like, Deadmau5 and Nero and these people live, and I was like, okay, I already know how to produce music per se, like how to record stuff, but I never thought of like doing that, like making electronic music and DJing it live, and some just clicked. And this is kind of in the beginning of the EDM boom, like 2011, something like that. So like I hadn't even considered that as an option up until that point. And once I saw those guys live, I kind of was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I don't know, just keep going, I guess.
Right. So did you dive in like full time into it, or like how did that progress?
No, I still work a day job. Actually, I just work at nights and on the weekends and here and there. And I have friends that work in the industry full time, like producing music, and it always baffles me that they're able to do it, as I haven't been able to figure out how to make to make as much money as I do at my day job with just my creativity. I think that is my goal, to get there. But it's pretty hard to make money with music, especially with just relying on streaming and stuff and no shows, right? So
Right. True.
to me, I just kind of fell in love with the process, and I just keep putting out records because I like putting out records, and the money comes, awesome. If not, I'll just keep putting out records. If I have to do a day job and put out records, I'll just keep putting out records, you know? So I have faith in the creativity side of me that I'm just going to make it regardless. So if it makes me money one day, which I hope and assume and I'm striving for, awesome. But either way, I'll still keep putting it out, you know?
Right. Definitely. So so is the job you have now, is that a full-time? Is it part-time?
Yeah, it's full time, but it's not quite 40 hours a week. Like, kind of work like 6, 7 hour days.
Yeah. Okay.
Pretty flexible. If I need to take a day off, I can take a day off. I work for my dad painting houses.
Okay.
I work with my brother, so it's pretty chill. I like it. It's a fulfilling job too, painting houses. Like, I'm painting people's homes and stuff. So, and it's
Yeah.
kind of some creativity to it as well, trying to get things done. But
Oh yeah, definitely.
I would like to like mix and master people's music for a living or something, at least something music related, you know, but still
Right.
trying to build that clientele is kind of what it is.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that that you have difficulty balancing job and music, or are you able to do that pretty well?
I definitely say I have a hard time with it, yeah, because I'm not like super disciplined and conscientious. So for me, like it's hard to daily grind. So sometimes 3 days goes by where I don't touch a DAW, or I'll be on a grind for a week, or you know, like sometimes it's just on the weekend. I don't even get anything done during the week. So like I want to be more disciplined, and I try to wake up early and do it, but sometimes it's just hard to get up early, you know.
Oh yeah.
And I
I hear you.
also go to the gym and I do jujitsu and I read lots of books and I like going hiking. I don't know. I'm also 31. I'm kind of not like the grind mentality. It's just exhausting after a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
like a year ago, I was grinding hard, and then I got to a point where I was like kind of comparing myself to my peers and stuff and people above me, and I just got to this point where I was losing the fun of it and losing the love for it. And what sucks is my podcast that I haven't done in almost a year. That is the last thing I talked about in that podcast, that I fell out of love with music or something. And Sam was just giving me advice. And I haven't had a chance to pick the podcast back up just because I'm going to rebrand it and relaunch it. But I had the realization that like comparing yourself to people, obviously we all know we shouldn't, but you still kind of do, you know, like you hear,
Yeah.
don't compare yourself, just focus on it. Like you still kind of do. So like you kind of have to have that inner realization yourself. And I, I just kind of went back to the drawing board and stopped trying to like make it per se and just let go of that expectation. And if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, like I had a realization that I found more joy and excitement from the actual making of the song than from it, say, hitting 100K
Mm-hmm.
or getting a number one. When it hits 100K, I'll tell you, it doesn't feel like anything. Like it's just
Oh
it's
wow.
just a number. There's not much of a dopamine hit, to be honest. The dopamine comes from the making of the song and the excitement. Oh, this bass line is sounding so sick. You know, like every element I add gets me so excited. That gets me kind of like dopamine high that lasts for hours. Whereas any kind of achievement based goal, I kind of noticed that it's like a very quick hit and then you're right back to, okay, what's next? You know, and you end up just comparing. Now you're looking at a million plays or you're looking at the next label. Like it's like this loop that you can get stuck on where you're always striving. You're like a hamster chasing the wheel, and you're never going to catch it because your mind always wants to go on to the next goal, and the next goal, and the next goal. And I heard this quote from this Hyperbits masterclass, and he said, the only way to stay sane in this pursuit of creativity is the lifelong goalless pursuit of the process of mastery.
Ooh,
And that
I
kind of
like
hit me
that.
hard. I was like, okay, the goal, sure, there's goals, but to me, the process goals now are more better than being like, I want to get a number one or a million plays. If it's like, I want to put out this many songs or I want to sign this many records or I want to just try to set more process goals so that it's not so much chasing things as opposed to just, oh, that got really great. As opposed to just, enjoying the process as it comes, because I don't know, it sounds cliche, but that
No,
realization really hit me,
no, I mean, I think you bring up what I think so many people struggle with, and I mean, myself included. It's so easy to um, compare yourself because you hear music everywhere, and it's not even just like comparing yourself to, the big top 40 either DJs or artists, like you said. Like, it's so easy to compare yourself to even people who are kind of around your similar level, and it can become easy to sort of downplay the achievements that you've made. Do you have like since there are a lot of people that kind of go through that, do you have like a process, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just some ways to kind of help people get out of that trap and sort of get out of, stop comparing yourself to others? Because it's one thing to like tell someone, okay, you just need to stop doing that. And then it's another to actually absorb that and enact that in your daily practice. Do you have any like thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of depends on how you look at the world a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of have a more mythological side to me that likes meaning and thinking of these myths and stuff. And for me, I was listening to I think it was Jordan Peterson talking about the hero's journey, and I had this kind of realization. It's probably last fall when it kind of clicked for me. And I read The Artist's Journey, which is a book by Stephen Pressfield. He wrote The War of Art, and that book also helped it click for me. That he said in there, the hero's journey is something like you find your life's purpose, and then what comes after that is the artist's journey. And said each individual creative work itself is a hero's journey. It has its own calls to adventure, like the inspiration you feel, and you're like, okay, I got to get this down. That's a call to adventure. The resistances you feel, the obstacles you face, the goal at the end, or not, the treasure at the end of the hero's journey that you return home with. That's the song that you just created that didn't exist before. And so understanding that, and understanding that every song is going to have the dark night of the soul, or the belly of the beast part of the myth, right? Where you're kind of stuck and lost and you're not feeling this anymore, and you're just kind of want to give up, and then you find some kind of spark and something re-inspires you, and you finish, and then you're happy you finish. Like, we all experience that in almost every song. And so understanding how that related to the hero's journey helped me realize the times where I'm stuck and I feel like I'm in that belly of the beast moment where I'm like, okay, I just have to push through this, because soon, in an hour or half an hour, something's going to click. And maybe it's I just trashed the song because it's just not the song. That
Mm-hmm.
happens. That happened to me recently, where I was just like, I've tried. This is just not coming out. This one's just garbage. But like, it can defeat you if you don't deal with it and understand what's happening. Like, the self-doubt and stuff, I feel like it can defeat you and make you give up. I know people that haven't put out music in years, and I feel like it's because their internal dialogue is holding them back. Maybe they think they're better than their quality, so it discourages them. And you got to just keep plugging away and keep trying to get better and just keep learning. And like, that's where comparing yourself, what is it? I think there's a Thoreau quote or something. Comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Comparing yourself to other people is going to make you not feel good about your own music. So if you can just compare yourself to who you were, again, cliche, if you compare yourself to who you were a year ago, every time I do that, I'm like, my music is a lot better than it was a year ago. And that just keeps consistently being the case. And I don't think my music is as good as like my idols, but I just keep putting it out anyway, and it just keeps getting better. So like, I would say persistence over the years, because it might take a lot longer than you think. So just keep getting better, and just, try not to compare yourself to others as much as you can. I feel like you kind of just have to get to a certain point where you have that realization yourself, because it's something I was told all along, but like, you still kind of do it. And even now, I'm sure I still do it, but like, noticing it in your head when you're comparing yourself, and just kind of stopping it and like switching it back to comparing yourself to your own past, you know?
Right.
Just trying to be conscious of it at least.
Mm-hmm. Well, and yeah, so you talked about this before, but I think a lot of the comparison seems to almost be from, or can arise when you set vanity metrics. So like plays and subscribers and that thing. And I know like for myself, it's hard like not to set goals like that, because I don't know, it almost seems like process goals are super important, but there's something almost, at least mesmerizing about the visual. Like, wow, I got such and such plays. And that's like and I don't know if it's just because there's so much advertising in our world talking about the importance of, you know, getting out there and becoming successful and all that. But it's interesting that you said that things haven't changed much since reaching that, and your joy was just from the act of creating it. Because it's, yeah, I think it, for most people, and myself included, it's for one, it's easier to set that as a goal versus versus otherwise.
When I say process goals, it's hard to come up with many examples because I know it's easier to set achievement-based goals. You're right. And I
Mm-hmm.
still don't have them. Like, I don't have any goals, new goals written for the next 6 months of the year. Like, I was like, I got to write, okay, if I did all my year goals in 6 months, I got to write some new ones, but I haven't figured out what they are yet because I don't want to write achievement-based goals, you know, but I feel like it's just a maturity thing too, you know.
Right.
As you get older, you kind of get wiser, hopefully. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily always, but um, yeah.
So, all right. So I kind of want to touch on that. You pointed out something cool in your background there. So you got a whiteboard that has some goals. What do you got there?
Well, I have major career goals, play Shambhala, play EDC Las Vegas, sign to Dream Label, and then I
Yep.
have a handful of Dream labels that are big, you know, well, the bigger labels, obviously. And then I have 1 year goals. I had released my debut EP, #1, which happened. Get my blue belt in jiu-jitsu, which happened.
Sweet.
100,000 plays on a song, which happened. And then
Yeah.
my first big artist support, which Austin Kramer kind of supported our song. So like all of those got knocked off in the first 6 months. And so I don't know, like I guess set goals, even if they're achievement goals, because they're definitely attainable.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you wrap up your pride or your self-worth in, oh, I got 100K, now I'm such and such, or now I'm better than, or that's where I think it gets tricky. Like, because sure, it feels cool knowing that I got 100K or I got a #1 on something, but having the realization that it doesn't really change anything. Like when I hang out with my friends, I don't like bring it up, and we just go hang out at the river or whatever, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
nothing much changes. Maybe it makes you more social proof, makes you a bit more confident per se. But it also can give you of ego inflation too, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
it's this balance of not letting your ego get inflated with success. And I see it a lot with big artists and stuff where they kind of seem like they get full of themselves as they get really big. And I think the most humble artists go the furthest, you know. Every artist that I've met who, like, I've driven for music festivals and stuff and gotten to meet a lot of cool artists, bigger artists, and like they're always so nice and so humble. It's very rare that I ever meet one who's just rude or self-centered, you know?
Right.
So if everyone I meet is humble, and like, I'm sure they don't care if they get a #1 or whatever, they probably
Yeah.
have a number of them. I'm sure there is a bit of once you have it, then you don't care, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because before I had it, I strived for it, right? Now that I have it, I don't care. It's like, I'm not saying don't strive for achievement goals, but
Yeah.
don't wrap up your ego and your self-worth in them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're definitely achievable if you strive for them. Because I mean, I did it, so.
For sure. Can you talk about like some other things that you kind of do, either like habits or practices that you feel like kind of have helped either shape your music or just kind of grown your craft?
Like outside of the DAW, considering that's the name of the show, I assume.
Aha, yeah, yeah. Let's roll with that.
Okay, well, I do like reading books. I read it almost every day. I try to wake up in the morning and read for a half hour or something before work. So I read a lot of books on philosophy or psychology or sometimes business related. But a lot of times it's more psychology related or history related. That's kind of what I just am into. And I feel like a lot of that stuff kind of influences my music in a way,
Mm-hmm.
or influences how I look at my music, maybe. Maybe it doesn't influence the actual music I make, but it may influence my decisions and how I perceive achievements. You know what I mean? How I'm talking about the stuff. A lot of it comes from, I think, thinking psychologically about things and thinking about creativity, separating my ego from the creativity and just trying to become a master at my craft, and finding achievement in becoming a master at my craft, whether or not that means I'm famous or not. You know, I just want to be the best I can at the craft. And a lot of that stuff I got from books, to be honest. you
Yeah.
know, and I also do jujitsu for a couple years now, and I think I actually did learn a lot just about myself and about even like music with jiu-jitsu, like being able to remain calm while someone's on top of you with their stomach in your face, you know what I mean, and they're smushing you.
Yeah.
It's kind of really uncomfortable to be able
Right.
to just stop and take a deep breath and remain calm. I think that persistence has spoiled over into other parts of my life where I'm able to handle resilience a little bit more. It's harder to get me upset, or I can push through something frustrating on a computer. But that being said, it's been extremely hot here the last few days, and I've been a lot more testy and like things frustrating. It's like it was 46 degrees or something Celsius, which is like 120 or something.
Jesus.
It's like 10 degrees above normal. It's been really hot, so you know.
Right. And painting houses, right?
Yeah, it was outside in the sun today, and it was like it felt like it was 46 or something like that. Pretty
Good
hot. I
God.
feel like I have a bit of like heat stroke right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
can you, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit, but still kind of related. I know you're a part of Cosmic Academy. Can you talk
yeah.
about that a little bit, like what that's done for you and kind of how that's kind of helped grow yourself from that?
Man, Cosmic Academy changed everything for me. Like I can't understate enough how awesome that program is.
Mm-hmm.
All the collabs I'm working on with my song Strong Enough wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Cosmic Academy. My song Overdose wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Cosmic Academy. You know, like for instance, Strong Enough, I brought it to feedback, and it was like this simple loop that I made, and I was like, I don't know, should I finish this? And everyone was like, yeah, finish it, and it turned into one of my best songs. So like if I didn't have that feedback from like-minded individuals who had all been trained on mixing and stuff in the same way I had, so we all have similar intuitions and stuff, man, like just having a community, like the program itself taught me so much about mixing and mastering and marketing and charting and all this stuff, and it's been fantastic. But the community afterwards, being just a part of a family of we call it the Cosmic Fam, but the pushing and pulling of each other up together, and you know, supporting each other when you have releases that need pushing, and supporting each other on social media posts, and always engaging on each other's posts, and helping and feedback, and just a supportive community where you are not comparing yourself. I mean, it's hard to not to compare yourself with your peers, even in Cosmic, but it's different because you're all family. You're not competing for spots, you know, you're trying to help each other come up with you. Like, you know, it's the most supportive community I found. And I think being a part of a community like that helps you in the long run, especially with feedback. That's having feedback on my music throughout the process, through the creative stage and through the mixing stage and the final master. And can't understand how important that is. If you can't take a program like that, like surround yourself with a few producers that you trust their feedback and give each other feedback. Just feedback is so
Mm-hmm.
important, you know. That's
Yeah.
the most valuable thing to me.
I mean, that's basically like the whole mastermind concept. Surround yourself with people that have a similar goal, because it's, if you're constantly, you know, around people who don't really have similar vision as you, it's so easy to kind of go off the rails and lose motivation that way. That's, I mean, to me, that seems like probably one of the, I think looking at it from the outside in, it seems like the instruction is the best aspect, but for things like that, it almost seems like community is the hidden, almost bigger aspect to it.
It is. And like when I joined, I had heard people say that, oh, the fam, the Cosmic fam after. And I was like, cool, but like I really want to learn the branding stuff. You know,
Mhm.
I had already taken the Hyperbits master class and I learned a lot about mixing and mastering. And I felt like my music was at a fairly good level. I was like, I'm sure I'll get better. But the branding side of Cosmic was why I signed up because it was, seemed so valuable, and it absolutely was.
Mhm.
Justin is the best teacher I've ever listened to on branding. Like he just, everything he says just makes sense. He has the right answer for every question. He's just brilliant. And he creating Cosmic changed the lives of 400 something of us now. And I could not recommend it enough. But yeah, the mastermind concept, you know, like it's brilliant.
Oh yeah, for
So,
sure.
it's very easy to lose motivation when you don't have anyone around you. Right, you're definitely right. And when you have that around you, it's a lot easier to be like, oh, I haven't been here in a while, and everyone's like, man, this is really good. Keep going, like, and you're like, oh, you know what? I need to finish this song, and like, it definitely
Hmm.
helps.
One thing that I want to ask about that I think would help a lot of people, since I always see this go poorly with myself and with others, is like how to, and we'll just kind of touch on this briefly because I'm going to respect your time here. But as far as like approaching someone for a collab, what's the good way to do that?
Hmm. Well, I've never worked with like an artist bigger than me per se. So as far as reaching
Or
out to
even that, or
them,
is someone like that you don't necessarily know that has a similar reach to you, perhaps?
yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, I have a few thoughts on it. For me, I've always worked with people that I was friends with. Um, my song Prophecy was my first collab. It was a good friend of mine. And then the last couple of songs um, were people from Cosmic that I collabed with. Most of my collabs now are people from Cosmic. I'll be in feedback and they'll bring a song that I'm like, wow, this is really sick. And I'll just DM them like, yo, we should write a song together. And so that's what I've done a few times now. And now I have songs coming out. This one just came out. I have another one coming out with Brent. And then I have a couple more collabs coming out later this year with other people from Cosmic. So as far as collabing with bigger artists, I think you have to have value to bring to the table. So if you don't have any achievements to your name, this is where those achievement goals help. Is because
Hmm.
now I think, hey, I've done this, this, and this. Maybe it opens the door a little bit. But I think you should probably send a song that you would like them to collab on. If you just say, hey, we should work on music, good luck. They're not gonna work on music with you. But if you bring a song to them, like, hey, would you like to collab on this song? And they're like, maybe I like this. I could probably work on this. I think your chances are a lot higher, you know? So
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
there's a couple ideas maybe, you know, like, hey, here's a couple of loops. Like, do you like this direction? If they like it, cool. And if not, I don't know, try pitching other people maybe.
Try
But
someone
again,
else. Yeah.
I haven't been successful with the big artist pitches yet. I'm still trying to, you know, work on that myself. So, but what I've been doing is pitching ideas to artists, and if they like it, maybe we'll work on it. You know.
Hmm.
So,
Sweet. Where
because
can
also that being said, when people pitch me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to collab?" It's hard for me to be like, "Okay, sure." Do I start the idea and then do 50% of it and send it to you? You know what I mean? Or
yeah.
like it's like, "Hey, I have the song. Do you want to help me out with this?" It's a lot easier, and I've said yes to those collabs. You know, when
No,
people
that
say
makes sense.
we
Have
should write
something.
music together, I usually just nothing usually comes of it. So
Right.
send
Yeah.
it.
Have something to bring to the table.
Yeah, for sure.
Where can people find more about you?
I think the best place is probably Instagram. I'm most active there. Facebook, Twitter. I try to be more active, but I'm really not there. So Instagram's the best, and Spotify generally is where all my music is.
What's your
I'm
handle for
active.
Instagram so people know?
Elazion official. So maybe we can tag that in the show notes or something.
Absolutely.
And then elazionofficial.com has all of my music and all my links and videos and anything else people would like to. If you want to get in contact with me, I have an email sign up form, etc. So yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to make known? Anything you mentioned a couple things that you had in the works. Anything else you want people to know about?
When's this coming out?
Mm, that's a good question. Probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I probably can't announce anything yet, but I should have my music out the summertime sometime for sure. So that'll be coming up soonish.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, man. This has been fun.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, man. This was definitely fun.
Absolutely. And thank you for everyone tuning in. Until next time, I'll see you in the next episode of Off the DAW.